The Apple iPhone 16 Pro Max is bigger and more powerful than ever. It has a beautiful screen, an excellent camera array, and new camera controls that could change how you approach iPhone photography. Power and battery life both get a boost to make this the big screen smartphone of your dreams. Apple Intelligence offers some useful and intriguing features, but it's not yet the thing that will or should drive upgrades. Still, if you have been holding on to an iPhone 12 or 13 Pro Max, this is probably the moment for a big screen upgrade. The iPhone 16 Pro Max was announced at the Apple Glow Time event on September 9, 2024 and it's shipping from September 20. This is a larger phone with more screen, more power, AI and a brand new camera control button, but it still costs the same as last year's iPhone 15 Pro Max in the US and UK. It's actually a little cheaper in Australia. I'm not arguing that $1,199 for a 256GB iPhone is cheap, but at least Apple didn't raise any price hike by $100. Apple also made a point at this year's iPhone 16 launch event of talking about some big trade-in deals. Its point, I think, was that you probably won't be paying full price for these phones. The virtually identical iPhone 16 Pro costs $999 but starts with half the storage space. If you like big screens and want a reasonable amount of storage for all that 4K 120fps video, you probably want to choose the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is available in natural titanium, white titanium, black titanium and desert titanium, which is the color of my test unit. I still prefer the black. It might seem like Apple's phone design strategy is now why mess with a good thing. In some ways, that's true. The iPhone 16 Pro Max doesn't stray far from the aesthetic first established with the iPhone 12, but also carries forward the myriad challenge made over the last few generations, like the smoothed out edges and new action button which replaced the silent switch on the Pro models last year. Its dimensions are close to those to the iPhone 15 Pro Max but enlarged by a few millimeters here and there. The 16 Pro Max is 163mm by 77.6mm by 8.25mm and weighs 227 grams. That's 6 grams heavier, 3.1mm taller, and 0.9mm wider than the iPhone 15 Pro Max. If you are comfortable holding and using the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I suspect you will have no trouble with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I can't say the new phone feels substantially larger in my hand, but I do notice the difference in screen size. The bottom edge features microphone and speaker perforations, along with a USB-C port that, with the right cable, can support Thunderbolt 4 data transfer speeds. There's also a speaker slot along the very top edge of the display. Together with the bottom edge speaker, this phone can produce undistorted room-filling sound. Highs are sharp, mids are strong, and bass is good for the device size. Button placement is mostly identical to last year, with the volume buttons and action button on one side and the larger power or sleep or CD button on the other side. They are joined, however, by a new button, camera control, roughly the same size as the power button. The camera control button is a multi-purpose control that can recognize physical presses and lighter presses to enable haptic response and gestures. It offers instant access to the camera and with those other presses and gestures to various virtual millimeter lenses and camera settings. The materials and build quality are once again excellent. Apple used grade 5 titanium on the body over a graphite-clad aluminum substructure. Apple has also upgraded its ceramic shield, which may make it less susceptible to cracks and scratches, although I was quite careful with my 1TB desert titanium test unit, so I can't say for certain if this is the case. Okay, I did get it wet, purposely running the IP68 rated iPhone 16 Pro Max under a garden sprinkler. It was fun to watch the screen activating as it was touched by 1,000 tiny fingers when it was just water droplets, but the phone was otherwise unmoved and unharmed by the deluge. Sometimes I wonder how Apple might say its next screen technology. Will it add duper to it so it becomes super duper Retina XDR display? I mean, it may have boxed itself into a corner, but Apple skirted the issue this year by leaving its iPhone display technology pretty much untouched. This is a giant screen 6.9 inches, achieved through a combination of a slightly larger chassis and pleasingly thinner bezel. There are more pixels than last year. The iPhone 16 Pro Max screen is 2868 by 1320, while the iPhone 15 Pro Max is 2796 by 1290. There's more pixels but not a higher density. This is still 460 ppi and so falls behind the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra's QHD Plus display, at least on the ppi front. Apple also didn't mess with the dynamic island, which remains a useful and fungible information peel in the upper portion of the screen. It houses Face ID, depth sensors, and a 12 megapixel true depth camera. The camera takes excellent selfies and is my go-to for biometric unlocking. While the display's core specs haven't changed, they are worth noting. It's a wide color gamut screen that supports HDR True Tone always on display, means you can see a less saturated version of your lock screen without unlocking the phone, 2000 nits of peak brightness outdoors, and Pro Motion. Speaking of which, everything I did on the iPhone 16 Pro Max looked fantastic. I don't even notice the dynamic island when it's inside one of my games, and streaming videos via the likes of Netflix tends to crop out the cutout. While Apple hasn't radically changed the iPhone's camera array, there are enough changes in hardware, software, and image processing, along with the aforementioned camera control button to make the imaging system feel fresh and new. On paper, we have just one notable megapixel upgrade, the 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera, which will not only improve wide-angle shots but has a measurable impact on macro quality. Still, even though Apple didn't squeeze a much higher pixel count into the main camera, it did upgrade the sensor and is promising much faster shutter speeds, and the autofocus is now enhanced with dual autofocus sensors. These are the kinds of incremental changes that should improve both the experience of using the quality delivered by the main camera sensor, but they are also hard to measure. More on that in a bit. The 12 megapixel 5x optical zoom is essentially unchanged from last year's iPhone 15 Pro Max. The biggest news here is found not on this phone but on its little brother, the iPhone 16 Pro, which also gets the tetra prism lens. Last year's Pro model was stuck with a just 3x optical zoom camera. Similarly unchanged is the 12 megapixel FaceTime camera on the front. Here are some camera samples of iPhone 16 Pro Max. The iPhone 16 Pro Max have everything we have come to expect in a year-over-year upgrade even without Apple Intelligence. The 6.9-inch iPhone 16 Pro Max have a slew of upgrades including a good battery life, outstanding photo and video chops, and iOS 18. The iPhone 16 Pro Max are excellent phones worthy of a spot in your pocket if you can afford them.